Some objects are more than just wood, glass, and metal. They're silent witnesses to history, soaking up the echoes of joy, sorrow, and sometimes unimaginable tragedy. They become vessels, saturated with the emotions of the people who owned them. But a few objects are said to become something far more sinister. They become prisons. In the sweltering humidity of St. Francisville, Louisiana, stands the Myrtles Plantation, a place famous for being one of America's most haunted homes. And within its walls hangs an artifact that isn't just haunted, it's believed to be a cage for the damned. This isn't just an antique mirror, it's a prison. For over a century, legend says it has held the souls of a mother and her children. To this day, people say their handprints still appear on the glass, a desperate, silent plea to escape. This is the story of the Mirror of Myrtles Plantation, an object that doesn't just show your reflection, it reflects a curse. To understand the mirror, you first have to understand the ground it sits on. The Myrtles Plantation was established back in 1796 by General David Bradford, a man on the run for his part in the Whiskey Rebellion. But long before he laid down the first cypress boards of what was then called Laurel Grove, the land had a much deeper history. The legend says the plantation was built directly over a sacred burial ground belonging to the Tunica Indian tribe. While there isn't hard historical proof of this, it's a cornerstone of the plantation's lore. The idea that from its very beginning, the house was an intrusion, a grand estate built upon disturbed earth. Many believe this act was the property's original sin, cursing the land and everyone who would ever live there. The very soil was steeped in unrest, creating fertile ground for the tragedy that would follow. The house itself, with its sweeping veranda and intricate ironwork, looks like a monument to antebellum dreams. But its beauty hides a dark and complicated past. Through the decades, the plantation had many owners, and each one seemed to add another layer to its chilling story. The air here just feels thick with stories, of fortunes made and lost, of the brutal reality of slavery, and of lives cut short. The whispers and legends cling to the myrtles like the Spanish moss that drapes its ancient oak trees. You'll hear tales that no fewer than 10 murders happened inside these walls, though historical records only confirm one violent death: William Winter. In 1871, he was shot on the porch by a stranger, and it's said he staggered inside, collapsed, and died on the 17th step of the grand staircase. People report still hearing his ghostly footsteps there today. The house is a tapestry of sorrow, woven with threads of violence, disease, and despair. And at the heart of it all, hanging in the main hallway, is the mirror. The mirror's own sinister tale begins with the Woodruff family. After General Bradford's death, his daughter Sarah and her husband, Judge Clark Woodruff, took over the plantation. Their life there was shattered by a devastating tragedy. The most famous legend tells of a poisoned birthday cake, baked by an enslaved woman named Chloe, that killed Sarah and 2 of her children. However, historical records paint a different, though equally tragic picture. The real culprit was almost certainly yellow fever, a rampant and terrifying disease of that era. In the 19th century, there was a powerful superstition that when someone died in a house, all the mirrors had to be covered. This was to keep the soul of the person who just died from getting confused by its own reflection and becoming trapped in the glass, unable to move on. In the overwhelming grief that followed the deaths of Sarah and her children, a terrible mistake was supposedly made. Every mirror in the huge mansion was draped in black mourning cloth. Every mirror, except one. The large ornate mirror in the entryway was forgotten. According to the story, this simple oversight had horrifying results. The spirits of Sarah Woodruff and her 2 children, lost and disoriented, were drawn to the gleaming surface of the uncovered mirror. Unable to find their way to the afterlife, they became imprisoned within the silvered glass. The mirror was no longer just a piece of furniture. It became their eternal prison, a place where their tragic story would be reflected forever. For over 100 years, the mirror at Myrtles Plantation has been ground zero for paranormal claims, terrifying guests and baffling the staff. These aren't just one-off stories. They're a long list of consistent, recurring phenomena that are hard to explain away. The most famous and chilling of these are the handprints. Countless visitors and employees have reported the sudden appearance of small, childlike handprints on the mirror's surface. These aren't just smudges from curious tourists. They are described as appearing from inside the glass itself, sometimes showing up just moments after the mirror has been meticulously cleaned. Staff have scrubbed the prints away, only to turn around and find them right back where they were. Even more disturbing, the plantation's caretakers once had the mirror's glass completely replaced, but the handprints still came back. It's as if the souls trapped inside are relentlessly pushing against their glass prison, leaving the only proof of their desperate existence. Beyond the handprints, other strange things plague the mirror. People often see faint drip marks running down the glass, like tear stains that can never be wiped clean. Even more unnerving are the figures that appear. Guests have reported seeing apparitions of a woman and children in 19th century clothes standing behind them as they look at their own reflection. Photographs seem to make the mirror's strange properties even stronger. The staff at the Myrtles regularly get photos from guests who captured more than they intended. Mysterious, hazy faces of women and children, faces that weren't there when the picture was taken, peer out from the mirror. In one bizarre case, a guest took a photo that showed the wallpaper pattern in the mirror's reflection was completely different from the actual wallpaper on the wall. This has led some to think the mirror isn't just a prison, but a window into another time. The haunting isn't just visual. People standing near the mirror have felt sudden unnerving physical sensations, like the playful but chilling tug of a child on their clothes, or the feeling of invisible fingers pulling at their hair. These encounters, while brief, leave a lasting impression that unseen residents are trying to make their presence known. The sheer volume of these accounts has made the mirror a magnet for paranormal investigators, including crews from shows like Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters, who documented their own strange audio and visual phenomena during their time there. You can't talk about the Woodruff tragedy without talking about the other, more famous legend that haunts Myrtles Plantation, the story of Chloe. This tale, passed down for generations, claims that an enslaved woman named Chloe baked a birthday cake laced with poisonous oleander leaves. In some versions, she was getting revenge on her enslaver, Judge Woodruff. In others, it was a misguided plan to make the family sick so she could nurse them back to health and earn her way back into his favor. The plan backfired horribly, causing the deaths of Sarah Woodruff and her children. The story of Chloe, often described as wearing a green turban to hide a severed ear, is a powerful and tragic narrative that has become central to the plantation's identity. A famous 1992 photograph even claims to show her ghostly figure standing between two buildings. But here's where the story gets complicated. Historians have found no records of an enslaved person named Chloe ever existing at the Myrtles. And as we know, historical documents show Sarah and her children died from yellow fever, not poison. Knowing this doesn't debunk the haunting. If anything, it deepens the mystery. It shows how legends can grow and twist, blending fact and fiction. The plantation's confirmed history is one of immense suffering, from the displaced Tunica people to the countless enslaved individuals whose stories were lost to time. Whether the spirit people see is named Chloe or is an amalgam of all the pain that soaks the property, the sightings of a woman in a green turban continue. Recognizing the historical inaccuracies reminds us that the verified history of the Myrtles is more than tragic enough to have created its own ghosts. The paranormal activity here is likely a convergence of all these tormented histories, with the mirror serving as a terrifying focal point. The mirror of Myrtles Plantation is more than a haunted object. It's a crossroads where history, legend, and fear all meet. It stands as a silent monument to centuries of sorrow, reflecting stories of displaced natives, enslaved people, and families torn apart by violence and disease. The wood of its frame and the silver of its glass seem to have absorbed the pain of this land, becoming a canvas for the supernatural. The evidence just keeps piling up. Every new photograph with a face that shouldn't be there, every guest who feels an invisible tug on their sleeve, and every time those desperate, unexplainable handprints reappear on the glass. Are these just tricks of the light, fueled by the plantation's chilling reputation? Or is something more profound happening here? Are we just seeing reflections of a dark history, or are the souls of Sarah Woodruff and her children truly trapped, leaving their handprints as a message from beyond the glass. The mirror holds its secrets close, leaving us all with one final haunting question. When you look into a cursed mirror, who is really looking back? If you believe some objects are better left undisturbed, subscribe for more Cursed Artifacts Chronicles, and let us know in the comments below, do you believe a soul can be trapped in a mirror?